Hi, I'm Peter Brusso. I'm here with Frank Syringa. Say good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Frank.
All right, great. Another great podcast in the making.
If we have to say so ourselves.
Yeah, even if we say so ourselves. Well, you know what? If nobody else toots your horn, you ought to toot your own horn. So somebody's got to hear you. All right. We're going to look at something first, and then my lesson will ultimately begin. But let me caveat that I've been into the hydroponic stuff, looking into all the various ways of building hydroponics and having a home-based business with hydroponics. Basically for young entrepreneur kids. Hello, you know, it's easy, it's inexpensive to get into. Teaches them the fundamentals of business and being an entrepreneur. But I've been waiting for this day, so let me share something with everybody. First, let me get it queued up over here, and that's not the one I want, but this is the one I want. This is pretty crazy. All right, you got my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm looking at robotic farms, robotic farming, and this guy built this do-it-yourself, and it gives you the plans and everything to a robotic farm. Check this out.
I've always wanted to garden, and I've tried a few times, but kind of failed every time. I mean, it's hard. You know, you go travel for a week and the plants die. You get busy with life and the plants die. You get a little lazy and the plants get overgrown by weeds. Kind of everything can go wrong, and it's very hard to get it right. I studied mechanical engineering. I wanted to learn more about agriculture, and I took an organic ag class while I was in school, and that kind of started me off in this direction. So this is FarmBot. It's the world's first open source farming robot. It's like a really big 3D printer, but for plants. So FarmBot moves around in the space and it plants the seeds, and then it waters them. It also uses sensors to learn about the soil and the plants and the environment in order to farm smarter. It's all controlled with your phone or your laptop or a tablet from anywhere in the world. FarmBot has this tool head here, and it can pick up different tools. And these tools magnetically hook onto the tool mount right here. So FarmBot can pick up whatever tool it needs to use for the task at hand. So this is the seed injector. This is a 3D printed part, and then it uses a vacuum pump to suck air up through here, and then it kind of suction holds the seed. And then it goes and puts it in the ground, and then turns off the vacuum pump, and then the seed is left. This one is the watering nozzle, so it basically takes the input of water, and then it creates kind of a shower. It diffuses the water. This one is a soil sensor, so this is a $5 soil sensor that measures the moisture content. It does that by you stick this in the ground, and then it measures the electrical conductivity in the soil between the two probes. So then FarmBot can actually learn how much water is in the soil, and based on the plants that are planted, how much water should it add. And then it could also tap into the weather, so you know, if it's going to rain tomorrow, well, let's adjust our watering schedule to farm smarter. And then all of these tools are stored down in this tool bay right here, and that's what allows FarmBot to automatically pick them up and put them away as needed. So you don't actually have to be out here doing anything. It just sort of picks up the tool when it needs to do something, and then it does that thing, and then it puts the tool away. For me, at least in my experience, the difficult part about growing food is being diligent with it. You know, it's not hard to plant seeds in the ground. It's not hard to spray the hose. It's hard to do that stuff every day though, and to do it well. You know, especially today with modern lifestyles, people want to go travel. They want to see their friends and family. They have jobs that they need to go to where they can't mess with the garden all day. So we have this web application that allows the user to control and configure FarmBot. So here's the basic controls of the web application. So this is if I want to just move FarmBot manually, kind of like a video game, where I can press these arrow keys and FarmBot will move in that direction. And there it goes. This is really only useful for impressing your friends when they come over, because obviously you don't want to sit here every day pressing these buttons controlling FarmBot. What you want to do is you want to program FarmBot to be more automated. And so that's what we've built into the software, is ways to combine these basic operations that FarmBot can do into custom sequences. But with the sequence builder, you have these basic operations. You can move. Right pin would be to turn on the vacuum pump or the watering valve. Read pin would be to read a sensor, like the soil sensor or an ambient air temperature sensor. You can also wait, so you could turn the water on, wait a certain amount of time, and then turn it off. And we're working on an if statement, so you can do logic-based commands. So with these basic blocks, you can create a sequence where you do a very complex action, where you just combine the different sequences. So let's see. This one is called Pick Up the Watering Tool. There we go. So where FarmBot will first move to an absolute position right above the watering tool. Then it's going to move down 13,000 units. And then it will pull the tool out 500 units from the tool bay. And then it will move up. And then now I can have a sequence where it goes and does all the watering for me. In addition to being able to execute that sequence on demand, you can schedule it to run every day at 4 a.m. or every other day or every week.
Does it know where the plants are?
Yes, it does. So FarmBot knows exactly where it planted the plants, which then allows it to know where they are for watering and what type of plant it is, how old it is. What's really cool too is because we know where we planted the plants, we know what plants that are in that bed that are weeds that we don't want in the bed. So FarmBot has a camera on the z-axis there that can detect weeds and then remove them. We take these pictures and we find all the green things on the brown background, and then we say, okay, well, these are the ones that we know we planted there, and these are the ones that we didn't plant there. So those are things that we don't want.
Weed suppression. Weed suppression is just...
It literally just pushes the weeds back under the soil. When a weed is really small, it's really fragile and doesn't have a lot of energy. So if you push it under the ground or disrupt the root system, it's not going to survive. Weeds are really only a problem when they become bigger, and then they're harder to pull out and they're more established and have these root systems that keep it coming back. But if you get them when they're really small, then they're actually really not a problem. And that's what FarmBot is so good at doing, is it's a robot, so it never gets tired and it never gets bored of doing the same thing over and over. So, you know, you would not bother to go and pick out weeds that are this big, you know, because there's going to be thousands of them. But FarmBot doesn't mind. FarmBot will go and do that. FarmBot kind of takes care of them before they're a problem. So in here is the electronics box. FarmBot is really just a really big 3D printer, but for growing food. So we have the Raspberry Pi computer. It's about a little $30 computer, and that's the brain of FarmBot. And then on the right is a
idea. Isn't that crazy, Frank?
I am blown away by that. That that young man, that's not a job he did. That's an obsession he is trying to satisfy.
And there's a revolution there. There's a paradigm shift. We just witnessed a paradigm shift in farming.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he did.
And it's all open source. And I don't know if you caught it, but so I'm looking at this and I didn't catch it the first time. All those little heads, where do you buy that? His 3D printer, a Commons ordinary $300 3D printer that prints all of that, and you get the files and everything for free. It prints those things.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That was fascinating.
Hey,
I'm not into farming.
Right.
My goal since I was 5 years old was to never get my hands dirty, which means I don't like to do any physical labor, especially yard work. I hate that. I was fascinated by this whole thing.
Isn't that something?
And I will never garden. I will never garden. I'll go
You might get something like this to garden.
Oh, because I don't have to get my hands dirty.
That's right. I think the only thing you may have to do is harvest. That's it.
Yeah, I can do that. But I was because of what we're going to talk about later. I was listening to his voice. This was not work for him at all. This
passion.
Was passion. I like that much better word. I was going. Yes,
passion.
As a matter of fact, he had no choice. He had to do this because he's on a goal, a mission, a quest. Those are terms I'd like to use. And wow, you could meet that kid at a party or at a picnic or whatever it is at a cookout.
Never know.
And you would not want him to leave. Because it's contagious, and I could care less about farming. But it's what he was talking about. I wanted to hear more. It was contagious.
Well, and I'll obviously put this in the show notes. I'll embed the video for people to see the whole thing.
How'd you find that?
Well, again, I'm doing all this hydroponic searching, right? Yeah. And I've always been interested. As you know, I invented a carrot picking machine way back when. I think it was probably 96. 97, somewhere in there. And historically, the farmers you did not see little gourmet carrots like you see today, because it didn't pay to get them out of the ground.
Right.
And we were approached by a farmer from Oxnard that said, could you build a machine basically that would pick these little carrots out? Not only did we do that, well, my fun part was I did flight dynamics with carrots, and you got to get them to dance on an airstream with their, I'm geeking out now. So, but that's how you grab them and separate them. Heavier carrots or float, in an airstream a lot lower, and the other ones a lot higher. And so you can move them down a conveyor belt, grab them with O-rings, and off you go. You wash them, you cut them, and you throw them in a bin. You spit the bin out the back of the vehicle, and you spit it in 3 different sizes. The little bitty dudes, right? And then the medium dudes and the bigger dudes all go out the back. So you hear all the time that, we need immigrants to pick our fruit, and we don't. Okay, we don't. And it's going down the line of robotic farms. So in my hydroponic thing, I'm looking at Japan, I'm looking at Singapore. There's 6 different types of hydroponics, 1 type of aquaponics, and but where's the robot? You need it almost robotically. That's the key, I think. Okay, so and Elon Musk, like I mentioned to you, his brother is starting this container farming. I'll have something on that next week, and they're all around Manhattan now. A trans container can be converted into vertical growing, an indoor vertical growing farm. No soil, that literally is equivalent to 15 acres of a regular farm. 1 trans container. Wow. 15 acres of produce, and uses 90% less water. There's no diseases. There's no E. coli. There's no manure. None of that stuff. Well, that's the wave of the future. So that's how I got started. I found an automatic apple picking machine. Think that out, right? An automatic lettuce picking machine. Think that out. You know, it's only a matter of time. And the farms like we see out here will be literally obsolete. They'll go indoors, they'll go vertical, and they'll go robotic.
Wow.
So, and you know, one of the passions that I've been looking at has been what is the simplest, least expensive way that I can create a garden in my house year-round and sell it, sell the produce. And I do this because there's all these little entrepreneurial kids out here, and as you always say, what are the complaints? If you solve a complaint, right, build a business. So what's the complaint? Well, we have to travel 40 miles into town for fresh vegetables. Nothing keeps that long, and there's no place out here. If you were growing it in your house in a space that's 3 foot by 6 foot tall and 1.5 foot deep, if you had a system, that's
it's like a tall bookcase.
Exactly, and you can produce and harvest every 7 days 10 heads of lettuce.
That's a business.
That is a business, and a kid could do that, right? Learn the responsibility of tending it. It's not automated, you know, so you do have to. I use the Cracky system, so this contains its own water and stuff like that. But I've got one built. I built it last week, and now I'm populating every 7 days of my harvest into this thing, and that moves up the shelves, right? And then at the top shelf you harvest. And I think it would be fantastic for budding entrepreneurs to learn how to do a business, right? Grow something, sell something, how to handle their money. It'd be a perfect entrepreneurial home business-based kit for your kid. Low cost entry.
Yeah.
A head of lettuce, $2 in town. Sell it for $1 here.
That's $7 every 10 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, no. You said 7 heads of, that what you said, 7 heads of lettuce?
Yeah, so, no, 10, you harvest 10 a day, 10 a week.
10 a week, so that's $10 every 7, that's $10 a week.
Right. The seeds, you get 20,000 lettuce seeds for $4.
That's amazing.
For $4, Frank. And most of the things that you put in the system, you're reusing everything except for the rock wool. That's a media that you stick the seed in, okay? But they're 100 for $17, so it's about 17 cents in cost, basically, that you have to, this non-refundable, so to speak. So you have to factor that in. But I think just in the old days when we used to sell TV guides as kids, you know, you go around and get an account for a TV guide, and you know, each week they'd be dropped off to you and you'd deliver the TV guide. Very similar model, except for in this case, they get to grow their own food, right? Learn about life, learn about where their food's coming from. In fact, you know, right now we have this whole big deal with people being sick with romaine lettuce, which is my main crop that I eat. So I'm planting 10 romaine lettuce heads every 7 days. So I should be harvesting here in a while.
Would you object to one of our future Thursday morning meetings talk about this?
No, not at all. I think it's fantastic.
I would love to get some, you know, well, we'll get that in a minute, but I'm putting together an agenda for our Thursday morning meetings, and the end will be the thing I want. I'll talk about my B block, but that'll be the end of the meeting. But I'd love in the beginning to say open mind or something. You know, have you thought about something like this? Here's where Pete is doing, where he is, why he's obsessed with this, and I'm going to use it because you are obsessed.
I am.
And there's nothing more invigorating than being obsessed about something exciting and good and legal, moral, ethical, that type of thing.
And non-fatting.
Right. And I said, what is your hydroponics? Where are you going? Okay. Heather will do her thing, Chris, Marcia, that type of thing. I'll tell you, I get off on this stuff. When I left, about last week, when I left yesterday, I had trouble driving because my foot wouldn't touch the floor. I was sky high. I was so energized just by the exchange of stuff. And I had trouble with, well, not trouble. I got excited to listen to that young man talk about his robotic farm. I hate farming. I'll never get my hands dirty. I was fascinated, intrigued by the whole thing. Your idea of this bookcase lettuce farm, whoa, Peter, you got pressure on you. The world needs this.
Yes.
Yes,
And to find out the simplest system that you can do.
It's got to be,
And
Steve Jobs.
Usable. Keep it simple, stupid, or face failure, the kiss-off theory.
Right.
But yeah, and so I'm using solo cups.
Everybody has them.
Everybody has
Go
them.
to the dollar store and get 25 for them.
And you reuse them. You don't throw them away.
Well, you can reuse them, so there's no plastic. You have to worry about the plastic. Really?
Yeah, you reuse everything except for the grow medium, which is what they call rock wool.
Okay.
It's an insulation, but it's made out of basalt. It looks like cotton candy, and that's it. You have to learn a little bit about pH balancing and things like that, but I don't think it's that necessary in the beginning. You just get this nutrient stuff and you fill it up and you make sure that they stay full. Then the addition to the system I did is you can drown your plant. You fill it up and it's too much. So I want to pop a hole in the side as a drain, a max. You can't get past this. You can't drown your plant. Makes it more foolproof. Okay.
See, an engineer would think like that. I would say, hey, too much water, your plant dies. That's it. Yeah. Your fault. Throw it away. Start from the beginning.
And here's some magic to that too. Guy across the street, Caesar, what a wonderful family. He's got kids and everything. And I've been telling him, he's kind of an entrepreneur as well. I've been telling him that I'm trying to get this thing that we could grow stuff and sell it. He goes, well, the kids could do that. Bingo. So what I did is I took over a mason jar with a cracky system with, he likes lettuce. So I planted 3 lettuce seeds and I went over and like a housewarming gift and gave it to him. So on my walk the other day, he runs out, he goes, they're sprouting. My kids found it. They're so excited, Oh, see that? Oh my God, that's so much gold.
I mean, this is better than any drug you're going to buy in the corner from a thug.
Oh yeah.
This is better and it's more invigorating, and those kids will wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because they want to see what the plant looks like this morning.
Yes, and the interesting thing out here, unfortunately, there's not a lot of options for our people, so they end up working in the fields, right. Kind of like a captive industry. But this one is they went from look at the subtlety of this. They went from working in the field to selling the product.
Yeah.
See, the farmer makes the money.
They went from a low-cost laborer to an entrepreneur.
Yes, in their home for probably something less than $250 of investment.
There you go.
Now, I'm not done with the journey yet by any means. Today, this weekend, I'm building a specialized indoor lighting system because the ones we're buying, even though they work well, they are missing some of the frequencies as the geek engineer. But I'm cutting through all the stuff that isn't good, and working my way through it to find the jewel. And then I'm going to start polishing.
You mean the aha moment that doesn't happen instantly? That happens at the end of a right. There you go, bingo. You said it again. It's amazing. The more I listen, the more I learn. That's such a tough lesson for me because I'm loquacious at best, at worst. The journey never ends. The moment you get to a place, you say, okay, now what's the next phase? It's another better, more advanced leg of the journey. Who wouldn't want that in their life? You don't have time for gangs. You don't have time for crack. You don't have time for all the other stuff that's going to kill you. This stuff's going to keep you young for as long as possible.
Not only it'll feed you, it'll give you money, it'll give you independence.
Pride.
And you can keep growing from there.
Self-esteem.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a role model for your peers or your kids.
Yeah, I started sprouting, which is, again, another offshoot of hydroponics in a way, but I also started microgreening. And microgreen crops are people are making $100,000 a year selling microgreens from their house.
I was watching a YouTube video the other day, but I never knew what the term microgreens were until you mentioned it. I was watching a YouTube video within the past 7 days, and the headline, the captions, the title of the video was something about microgreens. I said, "Oh, that's what Peter talks about. That's a big business."
Oh shoot!
I didn't know that.
Huge. And all these chefs want the freshest stuff that they can get.
Yes.
And so, if you think about the transport system, the microgreens are made in some farm, they get harvested, then they got to get packaged, and they go to a central location, and then they got put out. By the time they get to the chefs, they're not that fresh.
Which means they need chemicals to make them look fresh.
Right. Yeah. And so here's your little entrepreneur, right? and you don't need a shelving system for microgreens. You need a dark room, basically. You don't even need light.
You need a closet? You need a closet. Every restaurant, every home has a closet.
Yeah, and you deliver them, and bringing them in, and they're still alive. So the chef harvests them. You don't harvest them. He harvests them with a pair of scissors, and he only cuts what he needs and keeps the rest alive. The next week that you go to deliver another system, you pick up your equipment, your trays that they sit in to stay alive, and you recycle.
You can't get any fresher than that.
No, and the 20. They said that the request for local produce, supporting local businesses, is up way over 40%. So that's another opportunity for young, small entrepreneurs to fill those gaps.
You have a lot of responsibility, Peter, to get this out.
I don't know, Frank, but I just think it's fantastic, quite frankly.
Oh, it's what's wrong with it? I don't see any negatives. No. Yeah, you got to work. Welcome to the world.
Well, not much. I mean, this lettuce thing, once you set it up, I mean, you got to plant. You got to make sure they're watered. Make sure the cracking systems are working, and that's it. That's 5 minutes a day, maybe, and you're starting to make money.
Wow.
And if you want to double your money, put up another tray. Put up another system. They're modular. How cool is that?
Cool.
Yeah. Even so much so, there's one system called a deep water culture system. I've got 6 of them running here. Okay. And that includes a fish pump that pumps air into the water, so you keep the water oxygenated, because the plants love that. And so, but to do that, there's these things called air stones. You might have seen them in aquariums. Looks like a big black stone with all the little bitty bubbles coming up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, they're about $1 or $2 a piece, right? So if you're going to deploy a lot of deep water culture systems, each one's got that expense. I said, wait a second. I'm going to build my own air stone. And so I'm building my own air stones, and they cost 2 cents, not $2. So I'm trying to drive down to get to the least expensive thing to kick a business up that feeds people, it's healthy, teach entrepreneurs, because whatever they learn in this thing can be transferred to any other entrepreneurial thing they want to do. How cool is that?
Very, very cool. I just, everybody knows what TED Talks are.
Oh yeah.
TED Talks. I mean, it's tough to get on to do a TED Talk because it's once a year, depending on the city in the world. But and I can't think of I've got his book. Chris Anderson, I think his name is. He bought the TED business, and there's now something called TEDx Talks, which are regional talks, in which you have the same responsibility, 18 minutes, that type of thing, and topic it's got to be approved by the local TEDx organizer, and you can get on those because they're looking for people in the regional, the Coachella Valley TEDx Talks. We can have that. Where you are right now would make a wonderful TEDx talk. In 15 to 18 minutes, you could describe the potential of this, especially in where we are in the valley, we're close to Mexico and the border. These are wonderful people who live in our version of barrios, and they all have a bookcase available in our home. Replace it with one of your things, bingo. And I don't care if the guy lives in Mecca, where you live, or Indian Wells or Rancho Mirage. I don't care where you live.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And we could 5 things: environment, all the things that we talk about in 15, 18 minutes. I'm excited. I'm excited, and I will never do it. Well, maybe I will not, 'cause I'm getting that excited. But Peter, it's just I'm more blown away than I was the last time we talked about this.
Well,
That thing really got me excited.
well,
And to hear that kid's voice talk about that.
Can you imagine the kid coming out here to talk to the farmers?
Oh,
Let's roboticize your current work, your current place. Now, we're not putting the migrant laborers out of work. We're actually giving them an opportunity to own a business.
Bingo.
Who loses with that?
Absolutely. And then you get the SBA giving them loans.
Oh, yes. Well, and you see now the Japanese, they grow vertical indoors. And we're starting to do some of that here. But they have a rotating tray system, and it's like on a conveyor belt, so the trays go up and over and down like a Ferris wheel, right?
Right.
Trays get to the top. There's robots that tend them and water them and measure them, and then that tray goes away, and the next one comes up, and the robots tend it. At a certain point, when the tray goes up, the robots harvest.
Wow. It's the future.
It is. And what's interesting about this mechanical engineer is he had enough computer wisdom, with a Raspberry Pi and doing all the other parts and bits and pieces. In my day, a mechanical engineer swung a wrench, basically. They did not interface with a lot of the computer side. That was our job. But I saw something that I had not seen before. So it's really interesting, I thought, from that standpoint. Now, we spent way too long on half of my A block, so I'm going to rush through the other part.
By the way, let me correct you. We didn't spend enough time. I'm fascinated by this. This is really good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way I'm building these systems or designing them, I do it in Second Life. I actually build it in Second Life so I can walk around it and look at it. And, it's so cool that people, I got hired once in Second Life to actually build a building that they want to renovate and put in the walls and the distances and everything so they could walk it. That's pretty cool. So anyway, and so being an entrepreneur, how do you get the word out, right? Well, as we always say, keywords are the king thing, but many people make the mistake. You build a website, put the keywords in there, and then nobody comes and everybody gets mad. Well, you need building a good website with keywords, scientifically found, is like creating a long-distance runner. So you haven't put them in the race yet. Social media is the race, okay? And once they're out there running around social media, they get links back and whatnot. Now, there's a company called Hootsuite. And so to manage your social media accounts is daunting at best. You usually have to hire somebody to do all of that. But let me show you. Let me get over there. And it's just a few minutes. I don't want to bore everybody. But in fact, let me get back over here. It's now, I was concerned about it, but it's now not so hard to do. Okay, here we go. So we're over here. This is a short video on Hootsuite, and then we'll talk about it.
So you may be wondering, what is Hootsuite? Well, Hootsuite offers you a dashboard where you can manage all of your social media profiles in one place. Whether it's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, an email marketing campaign, all of it is happening in this one place. So whether you're managing social media on your own or you have team members or an outside contractor that you're using to manage it, Hootsuite will let you put all of that into one place. Now, what can that do for you and your small business? Well, you know you are supposed to be in social media, but who has the time when you're running a business? And you may not have the budget to hire outside help. So say you post something for WordPress and then you share it on Facebook and Twitter. Instead instead of logging into each of those, checking, comments, having to update from there, trying to share from within social profiles, which takes a ton of time, you just go to this one dashboard on Hootsuite and you can share, you can schedule messages, you can post, you can check how your posts are doing. Basically, this is a tool that will make all of your social media updating manageable and easy and cost and time effective. And finally, what's the point of social media if it's not effective? And how do you measure that effectiveness? Hootsuite does an excellent job of bringing all the analytics into one place. So rather than, for example, going to Facebook and printing out your insights from one account, you can go to Hootsuite and develop a report where you see your Twitter, your Facebook, you can see Constant Contact, you can see LinkedIn, and see how all of these different profiles are affecting your bottom line. You can even add Google Analytics in there. So you really get an overall idea of how your social media marketing is working, what's working, what isn't working, and maybe where you need to change something. So you're not wasting time and money on something that's not effective for your business. Now, those are just a few of the benefits of using Hootsuite, but as we get into the course, you'll really get a feel for all of the different ways that you can use it and benefit your small business.
Pretty cool, huh?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize Hootsuite was that powerful.
Yes, and whilst we're here, I've got my Hootsuite dashboard up. And matter of fact, you'll recognize this. I put this out, for us, a marketing wheel and whatnot, but I have all these accounts linked here. So I write what I want up here. I add a link to our podcast, for example. I hit auto schedule. And it will auto-schedule, which means it finds the best time that most readers would be in these places, and off it goes automatically. Walk away. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
It starts to answer some of the mail of the people that come to your meeting. And it's all about social media. It's not. It's all about everything. It's all connected, Yeah. So there we go. Oh, give me a moment here. I need to get us booted up here for, hello, come on, wake up here.
Hey, there's that sound. There's that sound. And we're going to give it a different name. We used to call it Twin. Now we're going to call this segment Why They Make Millions and You Don't. And there's a tie into that, as I'll get into. Each podcast, and I guess this is our 92nd, 93rd, 94th podcast.
94th.
94th. I guess after the 5th one, I started doing these stories of people who just ordinary people, not the Steve Jobs or the Elon Musks of the world. They became extraordinary, but ordinary people like us who did extraordinary things and became wealthy, and wealthy is a relative term. I call it make millions doing what they do. And I've done 80 some of those, I guess. And I went back and I analyzed them and researched them and did a study of them and created spreadsheets, being the math guy that I am. And I said, why are they successful and 99% of everybody else is not successful? Why do they make millions and you don't, you being generic? And I've identified 12 things. 12 things. Now, there could be, I could have had 112 things, but 12 major things of what they do that makes them make millions, allows them to make millions that everybody else could do, but we don't do. And so I started this list. I shared this list yesterday with our group on Thursday, our Thursday morning meeting group, and I like to share them with the audience, and then I'll have a little statement of each one. Number one, of these 80 some people that I have talked about so far, and we'll continue next show, talk about a different person, they are all proud of who they have become none of them knew what they were going to wind up making millions with when they were born. Well, obviously, when they were in school, okay, when they started their career after college. But something occurred in their life that they reacted to, responded to, and worked upon, that they are proud of who they have become. And that's the best way to put it. And we'll have other talks about that later. Number two, each one of them is making millions doing what they would do for free anyway. What do I mean by that? They are obsessed with something of value. Now, you could be obsessed with pornography. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, I'm talking about obsessed with a healthy obsession, if you will, with something. And they would do it for free. And yet, because of the skills and things that they've done, they were able to capitalize, monetize, help the world. And I'll share a secret with you. They have to do this. That gentleman you saw earlier on that, the farm robot guy, he had no choice. His mind wouldn't let him not do this. Well, he's going to be able to capitalize that. Number three, each one of these people, the people that make millions by resolving complaints. They listen to what people didn't like about what was going on, and instead of saying, whoa, they don't understand what's going on, they said, there's a business opportunity here. I talked about that last week with Kara Golden, who wanted to give her kids healthy water that wasn't boring. Okay. Number four, these people challenge everything. They don't accept things at face value. Well, Peter, that's the way we've always done it. Thank you for sharing that with me. Now I got to see whether it still has to be done that way. Chances are it doesn't. The world has changed. Number five, these people that make millions and you don't, these people are a magnet for aha moments. Not just one, they have multiple aha moments. But they're a magnet because they know that aha moments occur at the end of a process. I like to use the example that you shared with me that I learned from you. Thomas Alva Edison, he had that aha moment to create a light bulb. Well, yeah, he did. But it didn't get the aha moment until he had 10,000 failures. He had to go through 10,000 processes of failures, and then he says, hey, I got it, the incandescent light bulb. So it took a while. Number six, these people, they create controversial solutions. They buck the popular beliefs. People don't like change. People object to change. People will make fun of change. People will try to deter you, discourage you, shame you, make you feel bad. They create. Number seven, these people that make millions realize there are no free rides. You must take risks. You must take risks. They know how to take acceptable risks. They analyze and say, whoa, am I going to lose my family and my house if I do this? Well, maybe it's not worthwhile. But they take risks. Number eight, they know that being different is better than being better. When you are better, that means you're comparing yourself to somebody else. Makes you a commodity. And how do people buy commodities? On price. They say, I have no competition. I'm different. Number nine, these people, they don't sell. Who the hell wants to? You want to be sold? Oh, I don't want to be sold. And I was in sales for 38 years. I hate selling. I hate it. I find it degrading. I'll never sell again. These people don't sell. They lead. Would you rather be sold or would you rather be led? I'd rather be led. Number 10, these people, they don't talk about their methodology because they know who the hell cares. You know what they talk about? Results, their movement, their quest, their mission. They just happen to have a methodology that gets them there, okay? Number 11, these people, they don't chase prospects. They are chased by prospects. They don't say, hey, can we talk to you about this? Talk about, cold calling? Hell no. They pick up the phone and say, hi, this is Peter Bruce. How can I help you? Yeah, Peter, I heard that you do such a hydroponic thing. Can we talk? That's a hell different conversation than you saying, hey, I'm Peter. I do hydroponics. Can we talk to you? They'll hang up on you. When they call you, it's a different conversation. And number 12, these people, they spend very little on marketing. Why? Because they don't have to. Their clients do word of mouth marketing for them. So those are the 12 things. And as I looked at that, I said, whoa, this is really, really cool. And I've been working on this for a while. And when I mention this to people, and it started mainly with my Australian clientele, my group of Australians I was working on, here's what I heard from them. Frank, I like this project. Can we do this? I said, sure, I'd love to do it. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm already proud of who I become, so we can scratch that off the list. Yeah, I do what I do for free. That's not a problem. Okay, yeah, I can respond to complaints. I'm a challenger. I challenge everything. Oh, yeah, I get aha moments all the time. I'm a magnet. I don't mind controversy. Oh, I'm a risky kind of person. Oh, yeah, I want to be different, Frank. Can we start with number 9? I don't want to sell. Can you show me how to be a leader and not a salesperson? And I said, what about 1 through 8? Oh, no, I've already done that. That's okay. That's when I had to come up with handout number 2. I created these, and you may be able to put it in editing later. I said, let's talk about your business, your future, your financial success. We're going to build a 12-story building. Unless story number 1 is solid foundation, it's not going to last. You want to start with story number 9, and you say, let's put stilts for the first 8 stories. I say, okay, yeah, well, we can build the 9th story with just stilts and maybe a few building blocks. I said, you know what happens with all businesses and all quests and motion movements? They all run into tough times, and you get a wind of negativity or challenges or obstacles. What will happen? You want to be on the 9th floor of your building that's held up by stilts when the wind blows? What's going to happen? You'll crash. That's why we have to build a foundation. No, I will not start with number 9. I will start number 1. I'm going to promise you one other thing. I'm not going to go to number 2 until I'm convinced you know what number 1 is, because I want your business to succeed. So people got that. But I still got well, Frank, all right, I'll do it. But I'm already proud of who I become. And they go through the whole thing again and say, okay, so I came up with another list, a companion list. The first one was why they make millions and you don't. And I had to go in and do research on why people don't make. I researched why they do make millions. I went back and I said, well, what are the reasons why those that don't make millions, why don't they make millions? I came up with a second list corresponding to the why they make millions, you don't. I call it why you really don't make millions and they do. Because I want them to say, no, you haven't done floor number 1 or floor number 2. No, you haven't. You think you have because you're anxious to get to number 9. Everybody wants number 9. And here's number 1. The they side is they are proud of who they become. The why you really don't is because you really don't think you are good enough yet. You're smart enough yet. You have doubts. And you know what? If you have doubts, so will everybody else. Let's resolve those doubts. Get you proud of who you are. On the they side, they make millions doing what they do for free. You know, you really do what you do to make money. And when you do what you do to make money, you put in your 40 hours, if you're lucky. Even if you clock in, how many breaks do you take? You don't work 7 days a week. That gentleman in your video, I keep on coming back to that because it's in my head, that did that robot thing, he didn't do it working 8 to 5. He did it working 7 days a week. And when he wasn't working, he was thinking about it. And when he was sleeping, he was being awoken by his thoughts about it. He was obsessed. The moment you think that you got to get away from doing what you're doing, you're not obsessed. You're doing what you do to make money, which is fine. But this program will not work for you. You'll never, you may hit a Powerball lottery ticket if you're lucky. Number 3, they make millions resolving complaints. You know, you really think complaints or misunderstandings, they belong to a customer service department. They look at complaints as business opportunities. You look at complaints as nuisances. Big difference. They challenge everything. You know what you really do? You really challenge very little, if anything. It's easy to accept the status quo because it's not work. If you take the easy way out, good luck to you. You don't challenge everything. They know they're a magnet for aha moments. Thomas Edison, because it was the end of a process. You think aha moments occur instantly. Oh, it'll come to me. No, it won't. Unless you're working about it, thinking about it, trying and failing about it, you're not going to get your aha moment. Aha moments take work. They don't happen auto-magically. They create controversial solutions. You really are uncomfortable making waves, which is fine. Then you'll always be a Me Too. And that's nothing wrong with that. We love Me Too's because it makes us stand out even better. If you're uncomfortable making waves, then you shouldn't do what we're recommending. They know there are no free rides. You really avoid as many risks as possible. Some you should avoid. Others is your ticket to success. They know that different is better than better. You really believe that being better is the best way to go. Oh no, I answered a phone call in 5 rings, not 6 rings. That's where we're better. I really care about my clients. Well, so does everybody else. Oh, I charge 10% less. Okay, so you're a commodity. People that make millions, they know they got to be different or else they're not going to have success. The number 9, they don't sell, they lead. The most attractive one. You know what you do? You're really obsessed with selling yourself. Nobody wants to be sold. And the more you sell yourself, the more you turn me off and the more you become like one of those other guys. Number 10, they are about results, not methodology. You really are about your methodology. Hey, I've got a better way of doing this. Okay, good. Will it get me the results? If I don't, maybe you enjoy doing it, but if I'm not going to make my phone ring, get more leads, make more revenue, rate, whatever it is, I don't care. Pete and I mentioned this yesterday. Pete and I are rereading a number of times a book called Your Marketing Sucks. And I use the website. Your website could win all sorts of awards for this and that and color and technology. Oh, it's just beautiful. But if your phone doesn't ring, your website sucks. Number 11, they don't chase, they are chased. You know why you don't make millions? Because you really believe sales is a numbers game. Maybe I got to cold call more people. I hate that. Number 12, they get clients doing word of mouth marketing. You work really hard to keep clients satisfied. When you do a project for a client and he or she is satisfied, you know what you have? A satisfactory transaction. You paid, they delivered. I get that when I go to the supermarket to buy my yogurt, my Noosa yogurt or my Hint water. Okay, do something that causes me to rave about you to my friends and I'll do the word of mouth marketing. So those are the things that I do, and this is all leading up to, and we alluded to it last time, to a book that will be as soon as I'm now more inclined to get it done. It'll be called Why They Make Millions and You Don't. I'll have these lists and some words about how to do this. And in this book, I have already identified the 16 people that I am going to showcase. I'm going to tell you their story as to why they make millions and you don't. And at the end of each story, I'm going to go through each of the 12 points of why they and point what they did that maybe you could have done if you were in their position. And let me tell you the people that I'm going to be talking about. There are no the Steve Jobs people, the people that most likely you haven't heard of. A woman who hated her job working for an IT company in a cubicle. What did she do? A woman with no children who couldn't believe there was no such place for kids to go in New York. That made no sense to her. A woman who always followed rules, but found the courage to challenge the popular beliefs. A high school dropout who got inspired in a drive-thru in McDonald's. A teenager who arrived in New York with $300 and no plan. A Harvard graduate who got inspired by a street vendor he met in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. A high school dropout pregnant mom living in a homeless shelter. A stockbroker who liked fast cars more than she liked her job. A stay-at-home mom who didn't like herself. A former class clown who hated shopping in drugstores. A Hooters girl who took a 50% pay cut to go up the corporate ladder. A mom who was living on food stamps with her in-laws. A house painter who wanted to be a different kind of house painter. A stay-at-home mom, former hairdresser who got bored. A terrible student who loved hamburgers and french fries. Okay, there's a lot of those. A woman who was addicted to Diet Coke. Why do these people make millions and you don't? That'll all be described in the upcoming book. And that is my block B for today.
Really nice. I'm really excited by this. Well, we've been seeing this in the works for some time. You know, you and me anyway. And
Yes, we have.
I've been beating up on you. When's the book? Get a date.
Thank you. And please don't stop beating me up. Thank you.
And who was it in the meeting yesterday? Well, why did you come up with this, or how did you come up with this? Or, you know, and I told you it was the podcast pressure. Each week he was forced to do something for the podcast. And that pressure led you to this wonderful opportunity to help millions of people make millions of money, millions of dollars.
Ordinary people. By the way, talking about pressure, and 1 hour after this podcast is over, my first thought is, who am I going to talk about next week?
Well, good. We got to get this book out and running, though.
Yes, yeah, we do. Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
We will.
So that's good. All right, we're running long, Frank. So let's bring it to a close here. Is there anything you want to discuss? In our C block, we usually discuss a lot of odds and ends, but we're running long.
No, I think we've covered enough. I want to thank you for sharing that gentleman. Was he? I assume he's U.S. based because he has an American.
Yeah, California.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Northern California.
Okay. I'd love to share. Well, we talk at our next Thursday meeting, which is 2 weeks from yesterday, because you are him, he is you. And I'd love to use that as what is your farm robot? What is your hydroponics? Where are you going with this? Everybody's different. I believe everybody has one of these they in them. Some are afraid to do it, which is fine. Some don't know how to do it. We can help.
Mm-hmm.
We can help.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that shows up on our Thursday morning meeting that we had yesterday has a desire to do this. And you and I, as we do, we will help anybody that needs help. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Frank, then say goodnight, Frank.
Good night, Frank.
All right, hang on.